gentlemen, please welcome our Honorable Chief Guest, Honorable Chief Election Commissioner, Dr. Naseem Zaidi. As I invite you, sir, to kindly join us on the dais for the inaugural session. Also inviting Honorable Election Commissioner Shri A.K. Jyoti, Honorable Election Commissioner Shri O.P. Rawat, Shri Umesh Sinha, Deputy Election Commissioner, Shri Vijay Dev, Deputy Election Commissioner, Shri Dilip Sharma, Director General, and Shri S.K. Mendiratha, Senior Legal Advisor of the Commission. Namaskar and good morning. Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. Naseem Zaidi, Honorable Chief Election Commissioner, Shri A.K. Jyoti, Honorable Commission Member, Shri O.P. Rawat, Honorable Commission Member, distinguished dignitaries on the dais, special invitees, senior officials, councils and CEOs representing Election Commission, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. I have the proud privilege of welcoming you all on behalf of the Election Commission of India to the inaugural session of the National Interactive Conference on Electoral Laws. This conference is a collective effort with councils and CEOs representing Election Commission of India in realizing strategic vision for the future. The purpose of this national workshop is to strengthen the legal fraternity who defends the interest of the Election Commission of India in various high courts and the Honorable Supreme Court. The object is to mend and blend better communication, technology and understanding the need of the hour. And now we have the privilege of welcoming our distinguished dignitaries on the dais with floral bouquets. We welcome our Honorable Chief Guest, Honorable Chief Election Commissioner, Dr. Naseem Zaidi with the floral bouquet. Thank you very much indeed, sir, for gracing this occasion. We welcome Shri A.K. Jyoti, Honorable Election Commissioner. We welcome Shri O.P. Rawat, Honorable Election Commissioner. We welcome Shri Umesh Sinha, Deputy Election Commissioner. Thank you, sir. We welcome Shri Vijay Dev, Deputy Election Commissioner. We welcome Shri Dilip Sharma, Director General. And we welcome Shri S.K. Mendiratha, Legal Advisor of the Commission. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I have the proud privilege in requesting the Honorable Chief Guest and our dignitaries on the dais to kindly light the ceremonial lamp and formally inaugurate this national workshop.
फ्रंट छोड़ दो.
And please put your hands together as the National Interactive Conference on Electoral Laws is being formally inaugurated by our Honorable Chief Guest. Thank you very much indeed, sir, for doing your honors. Ladies and gentlemen, may I now invite Mr. Vijay Kumar Pandey, Director Law, Election Commission of India, to kindly propose the formal welcome address.
Honorable Chief Election Commissioner Dr. Naseem Zaidi sir, Honorable Election Commissioner Sri A.K. Jyoti and Sri O.P. Rawat sir, respected Deputy Election Commissioners Sri Umesh Sinha, Sri Vijay Kumar Dev, respected Director General Sri Vineet Sharma and Legal Advisor Sri S.K. Mandiratta, distinguished delegates, other senior officers of Election Commission, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the ECI, I express my sincere gratitude to our councils and chief electoral officers for accepting our invitation for this conference despite their busy schedule. We appreciate your presence today and extend a warm welcome to you all to this August gathering. We are pleased to host this conference by bringing together all the councils under one roof for the first time in ECI history. This conference is organized with the twin objective of providing a platform for sharing of ideas and to find ways and means for making the electoral litigation management more effective. In order to improve litigation management, ECI has developed a web page of Judicial Division wherein OTP-based secure login has been provided to the councils to upgrade the progress regarding various court cases. The web page would be released by the Honorable CC in the course of this conference. I am optimistic that the participants would acquire new ideas from this conference, and I request all the luminaries to actively participate in the interesting discussions during the thematic sessions in a productive manner. I wish all the participants a fruitful conference and a joyful stay in the capital. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ji. And now, ladies and gentlemen, for setting up of the tone of this National Interactive Conference on Electoral Laws, I have the privilege of inviting Mr. Vijay Dev, Deputy Election Commissioner. Please put your hands together to welcome.
Honorable Chief Election Commissioner of India, Dr. Naseem Zaidi, Honorable Election Commissioner Shri A.K. Jyoti, Honorable Election Commissioner Shri O.P. Rawat, my colleagues from the Election Commission of India, senior councils and councils representing Election Commission of India, Chief Electoral Officers, ladies and gentlemen. On the very special occasion of this National Interactive Conference on Electoral Laws, let me accord a very warm welcome to all of you. This interactive conference is a very special one, and it is special in more ways than one. As a first, the Election Commission of India is interacting institutionally and in a structured manner for the first time with all its councils, and that, I believe, ladies and gentlemen, is a huge first. And then, as the theme of this National Interactive Conference very aptly suggests, a new beginning has been made in enhancing the electoral performance of the Election Commission of India by a collective effort of the CEOs and the councils for the first time. Now, these two facets of this conference are indicative of the firm resolve of the Election Commission to, number one, ensure the best implementation of the existing electoral laws for strengthening the electoral democracy. Two, to have a very close and harmonious interface with judiciary in achieving our shared objectives. And lastly, but I suppose most importantly, to continuously raise the benchmarks of electoral performance that has been displayed by the Election Commission of India over the years by not only conducting free, fair and inclusive elections, but also fulfilling the expectations of the citizens in cleansing electoral democracy from the maladies of criminalization and abuse of money power. Now, with these objectives in mind, this conference has been designed. In the inaugural session, the Commission would be releasing the 5th volume of the landmark judgments on the electoral laws, also a compendium of the electoral reforms, and first ever newly introduced procedure for conduct of inquiries in reference cases by the Election Commission. Commission would also be launching for the first time a portal for judicial division. Now this portal will contain inter alia a repository of all cases of the Election Commission, whether disposed of or pending, and login IDs and passwords will be given to all the councils to continuously update this repository. After the inaugural session, we'll have the opportunity of hearing Senior Advocate Ashok Desai, Mr. Mandiratna, which will be followed by 4 sessions in which more than 20 councils will make presentations, share their experiences, and an open house would be there wherein councils, chief electoral officers and the Election Commission of India officials will deliberate and discuss all the facets of electoral laws. At the end, we would compile the experiences shared and the learnings emerged, collate them into a final vision of the Election Commission of India for achieving the strategic objective. And that I would say, the strategic objective is that we go from the gold standards that the Election Commission of India has already achieved to the platinum standards by our collective efforts. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, sir. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I have the proud privilege in inviting Shri O.P. Rawat, Honorable Commission Member, to kindly address the august gathering present here. Let's welcome him with a warm round of applause.
Very good morning to you all. Chief Election Commissioner Dr. Naseem Zaidi, my colleague Mr. A.K. Jyoti, Deputy Election Commissioner Mr. Umesh Sinha, Mr. Dev, DG Mr. Dilip Sharma, our legal advisor Shri S.K. Mandiratna, all the distinguished legal luminaries present here, officials from Election Commission and representative of media. First of all, on behalf of Election Commission of India and on my personal behalf, I would like to welcome all the distinguished guests present here today. Commission views you as one of the important stakeholders in the process of elections in our country. Your wholehearted participation in today's deliberations becomes very important. I am sure will go a long way in safeguarding electoral integrity and creating public confidence in institutions relating to elections in India. As we are all aware that the constitutional and legal framework for conduct of elections in our country is an elaborate one and also unique in many ways. The magnitude and complexities of elections in India make the process largest such exercise in the world. It is emerging in global context that factors in the broader political environment, which is affected by an array of government institutions and other actors, can at times negate or substantially subvert electoral integrity. Legal frameworks, therefore, must ensure access to justice mechanisms, equal protection of the law, and effective remedies in the election context. Also, it is a fact of life that legal frameworks can never be perfect. They must be re-evaluated and improved as lessons are learned and countries advance through more substantial steps on their democratic trajectories. In this context, this event, as Mr. Dev said, first of its kind, gains importance. I am sure there will be tangible takeaways for all of us at the end of the day. So I wish all success to your deliberations today. Thank you and Jai Hind.
Thank you very much indeed, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the privilege now in inviting Shri A.K. Jyoti, Honorable Commission Member, to kindly address the august gathering. Please put your hands together to welcome.
CC Dr. Naseem Zaidi, Election Commissioner Shri Rawat, Deputy Election Commissioner Shri Umesh Sinha, Shri Vijay Dev, DG Shri Dilip Sharma, all the distinguished legal counsels from the country present here, all the CEOs present here across the country. It's a very unique and a momentous day that for the first time the legal counsels which are engaged by ECI across the states and also the legal counsels engaged by ECI at national level, at the Delhi in the union government level, we are all present here together. That itself, meeting point which is there today is very appreciable. Friends, as you are aware, the Election Commission has got a mandate to hold free, fair and peaceful election. And the uniqueness of the ECI has been its constant evolution, transformation, adopting the new technologies. The journey of 67 years has been centered largely that the representative democracy which we started in 1947, we have to evolve into a substantive democracy. Because representative democracy, we did make a very good beginning. Lot of things have happened in these 67 years. But pursuit of excellence, because there are democracy across the globe which are having, they are far ahead in terms of number of years that democracy has been practiced. So we have now have got a very strong interaction, collaboration, MOU signed with many election management bodies across the globe. So that has also given a lot of strength, guidance to Election Commission of India. I would only like to mention that there are large and important stakeholders in any democracy, which will be largely the political parties, the contesting candidates, the voter of the country, the media, print media, electronic media, and the newly coming in social media is also becoming an important stakeholders. The civil society organizations, the NGOs, all of them have got very important role in strengthening and having a substantive democracy. Law has been passed by the Government of India and state governments have passed, the state election commissions also. So the law is in place and we are in a continuous process of evolution, improvement and transformation. Reason is that all the stakeholders, the awareness about democracy has increased substantially. Election Commission of India started as a regulatory authority in the early 2 or 3 decades. Then it was largely in the 80s and late 90s when Election Commission also became a facilitator. It was not a regulatory authority to conduct elections, but it was also the having a facilitator role of a promoter. But a distinct and a very noticeable change in this perception and role of Election Commission started in the first decade of the 21st century, that is 2000 onwards, and 2010 in particular. The role of Election Commission as a facilitator and as a promoter for strengthening and achieving the substantive democracy has increased substantially. And that is why many stakeholders who were not very much involved in this process of democratic election process now are taking lot of interest. Whether I am enrolled, whether my name is there in the electoral roll, my spelling mistake of my wife and my husband is there, a polling station of the family is split between the 2 members. So many issues are being contested and raised before the appropriate judicial authorities. So that is why the importance of legal counsels and our Chief Electoral Officer, the DO's office, the ERO's office has become very important. Because when political awareness and the voter awareness and awareness of all the stakeholders grows, it is a very healthy sign for democracy. It increases our work, there is no doubt about it. ECI has got the privilege and a distinction that we have got a very good legal counsel. We have an institutional memory of with us, Shri Mendiratha, who has been very closely associated with ECI and with his legal counsel and his legal team. But this process is of continuous evaluation and evolution. I would only like to say that this strategy for our empowering of democracy requires very close interaction and joint partnership between the CEO and the election authorities and the competent authorities and also our legal counsels. It is very surprising that we never thought that at least we should meet and talking to each other. So we should have the two objectives of this joint partnership, I think, are we should have a synergy of objectives. What is there, when a matter goes to court? Generally, the office of CEO, the people are not legally oriented. Some of them are 10-year-old, 15-year-old, they may have a good legal background, but majority of them have not much knowledge of the law and the intricacies of law, when the matter is before the court. So this synergy of objective between the CEO office and our legal counsel, which is there for that particular state, and ECI has to be there. And second objective in our joint partnership should be convergence of efforts, both by the ECI, CEO, the DO's office, largely it will be ECI and CEO, and also the legal counsels. Until this, I think our meeting purpose is, for promoting this joint partnership. It is not that we are legal counsel sitting in our office in state headquarters or in New Delhi, and we are CEOs, so we have nothing to do. The general approach which I have found in government, I have also worked in government for more than 40 years. It is a paper, which somebody has filed, so we have to get rid of that file or disclosure. The complaint by all the government leaders in the government states is that the briefing session, which is to be there, by the department, its secretary, joint secretary, under secretary, and the concerned officials, with the legal counsels, is not very, strong, or where, some time is spent. So it is just passing on the file and आप देख लेना कि वो डेट पे hearing है, आप उसको drafting कर दो. So I think that is also not correct. It is the responsibility of the CEO's office. ECI office is taking lot of care, but there also we get the papers largely 2 or 3 days before, when the final picture is before the commission. Now this is not the correct thing. Why should it be left to the last moment? Dates are given 1 month, 1 week, or 10 days, or a few days also can be there. So I think this approach to treating the legal issues which are presented before the CEO office or the DO office must be given some seriousness. So I think that is the first thing which I have to impress upon the CEOs, that it is our duty. Let us not feel that it is a legal counsel who will do the necessary thing. हमने तो पेपर उनको भेज दिया, हमने forwarding letter में sign भी कर दिया कि please look into the matter and you may appear for the hearing. Well, that the things do not end there. And this is a basic melody of our government administration across the country, that although government is the biggest litigant, but 8 out of 10 cases we are losing. It is only because nobody is interested. I have nothing to lose. What for me? How am I interested? See, this approach of bureaucracy is there, and legal counsel has got its hand full of cases which are there, because they are dealing with private cases also, they are dealing with government cases also. Government pleaders largely deal with government cases, but they also have some private cases. So it has to be a joint partnership, and a little more concern from the CEO's office side, the legal wing you must be having. Now I would just like to say why I am telling these things is because of my own experience. I would like to share one experience of 2008 November-December. Now this is relating to when I was managing director of Sardar Sarovar Nigam of Gujarat. Now this scheme, when I took over, the total expenditure incurred by Gujarat and the total project value of that dam was 38,000 crores. See, the foundation stone of this Narmada dam was laid by the late Prime Minister Shri Jawaharlal Nehru ji in the year 1962. The actual work started in 91-92, after 30 years. Foundation stone was laid in 62. Because the award of the Interstate Water Tribunal came in the year 79. Then land acquisition, so many other issues were there, NGOs agitation, so many agitations started because land was to go under submergence. So government of Gujarat had issued 20-year bonds, Narmada bonds, in the year November 93. These were 20-year bonds which had an interest rate of 18%. You invest 20,000 in 1993 and you will get 1,14,000 in November 2030. Rate of interest being so high, it was a very good offer. The mistake which government of Gujarat made, or the Narmada Nigam in particular made, was that all bonds have got put and call option. Whereas the Narmada Nigam did have the call option, that means the people can always exchange or sell their bonds. The government could not withdraw from this 20-year bond. It was listed on the Bombay Stock Exchange. So naturally, the bond holders could always had the, I would say, opportunity or the freedom to sell their bonds, and some new person will acquire the bonds. Whereas Narmada Nigam had no such authority. The total money which was received by the government of Gujarat, not government of Gujarat, but by the Narmada Nigam was 270 crores in the year 1993. The amount which was payable after 20 years was 14,400 crores. So you can see what was the value of these Narmada bonds. They were listed on the Bombay Stock Exchange. So government realized there was a lot of debate started after 2005 that why government or Narmada Nigam had taken this effort of repaying 14,000 crores when you have got 270 crores. So there was a lot of discussion. So government of Gujarat passed a legislation to prepone the payment of or redemption of the bonds in 2008 December rather than December 2013, 5 years before. But there was a huge hue and cry because when the government passed, so there was a immediately when we started issuing letters to 3.8 lakh bond holders in the country, which were spread all the 29 states across. Starting even Assam, everybody in all the country, these bond holders were there. So there was a big hue and cry that how government can prepone the payment because we will lose lot of money. The main argument given legally was that this is a promissory note which has got sovereign guarantee of government of Gujarat, and government of Gujarat cannot go behind its sovereign guarantee and it must redeem only in December 2013. So when the bill was passed in the assembly in November, in August or September 2008, the value of these 14,000 had come down to 9,000 crores. So government of Gujarat was to save 5,000 crores. It's a big state game. So then it was decided that because many people started, you will be very surprised, this Maharashtra State Road Transportation, they were the first one to challenge it in the High Court, Bombay High Court, telling that the government of Gujarat has no authority because it is a promissory note with a sovereign guarantee, you cannot prepone the payment. So we were very upset. The government said that because I am the MD, you are responsible for making sure that no stay order is there. In the next few days, there were more than 26 petitions filed in different high courts all across the country because there were so many companies which had taken these bonds. And this Maharashtra State Road Transport said we will be losing 120 crores if you prepone the payment. That was their stake in these bonds. So it was a very difficult situation. Then when we had a first meeting, please excuse, I am sharing experience to impress upon my CEOs the hard work which the CEO, means the head of the office, has to do. When we started the discussion about what strategy we should have with our senior officials, I found that most of the office staff people were bond holders. Our all staff, the people who are working there, they said, how can you, government, this is a wrong decision taken. This was all informal discussion. That this is not the correct decision, now we will lose so much money. So it was very difficult situation when our own office people were also having the view that why should we fight this case vigorously? Let the High Court or the Supreme Court decide the matter. Government of Gujarat has already decided to prepone, but we are losing lot of money. So myself and my joint MD, Pankaj Kumar, and other officers, we were very much worried that see if in our own office our people are not very happy with this development, it will be very difficult to fight out the matter because there will be a lot of problem created by our own people. So one decision which we took was that other than myself and the joint director who also did not have a bond, I also did not have a Narmada bond. So at least we were not interested party in these bonds. So we said that we will make sure that other than two of us, no third person in the organization with more than 1200 people will know anything about what legal strategy we are going to adopt. So we then consulted the government and we hired private advocates, leading private advocates of Ahmedabad. There was one Mr. Singhi, he was a company law expert. Another was Mr. Dinesh Toparkar, he was a taxation expert. Third was Mr. Prakash Thakkar. So 3-4 advocates we had hired, and they also their first opinion when we had the first council, they said it will be very difficult to defend this case. You are on not on a very strong wicket, and it will be very difficult for us also legally. But we said no, the government has decided and we have to make sure that we win the case. But then that Mr. Singhi, who was the main leader of that advocates 4-member panel, he said, sir, you will have to do equal hard work what I am doing. I said, yes, I am prepared to do. He says, I said, when I should meet you? He says, you can meet me only after 7:30 in the evening because I have to prepare for my next day hearing also. You come at 7:30, we will sit late because actually in this process, because it was a state legislation or state act, we had to consult the Advocate General also. Now, Advocate General are a great person. He will never come for meeting us, so we have to always go to his house. So what was the procedure we followed for 7-8 days? 7:30 I will reach his office, then we will sit till 9:30, he will give dictation. And then 10 o'clock all these 4 advocates used to sit together, and then we will prepare our briefing note. Then we will go to Advocate General at 10 o'clock because he said you meet me only after dinner. And I am not free before 10. So from 10:30 to 11:30 we will do the briefing. Because in one sitting this was not going to be over. I was only impressed, I was not only but very much impressed by the depth of knowledge of Mr. Singhi advocate. See the Supreme Court rulings which he could cite, and he had got a steno. He was a Keralite English steno who was in 2008 taking dictation on the laptop. And he was correcting it also, whether he will type it on the screen, he will correct it. And speed was more than 100 words per minute. I was very much impressed, that can we have such efficient stenos also who can type on laptop more than 100 words. So it was a very great effort. So firstly we had to go to Bombay High Court. So then we say our Advocate General advised that see you will have to engage AG of Government of India, Mr. Vahanvati, because it is a very important matter. You have very high stakes. In Bombay High Court, हमारे जाने से बहुत impression नहीं पड़ेगा. You have to have persons who are known to the bench when the matter is listed. So we engage AG of Government of India also. Our Advocate General, we again went to brief him in Delhi. Then he said, I don't have much time here. When the hearing comes, you brief me one night before. I will take all the notes. You can leave your notes with me. So I had to go to Bombay also along with the Advocate General and panel of 4 advocates to meet Mr. Vahanvati in his home, because he also gave the time at 8:30 because next day was the hearing. The matter was listed before Chief Justice of Bombay High Court, Sri Satendra Kumar, who is I think the chairman of our NGT now, National Green Tribunal. So we briefed him, and but then we got no stay order. Our only redeeming feature was that all these efforts of 8-10 days did not materialize into a stay order from the Bombay High Court. They said matter admitted, but no stay order was given. So at least one achievement was there. Then second, when we started, sat with our AG and those 4 legal private advocates council, they advised that this 26 petitions which are now in the high courts of the different parts of the country, you will have to make a very strong effort before the Supreme Court, that Supreme Court should order that all these petitions from these 20 high courts, 26 petitions and some 10-12 high courts must be transferred to Supreme Court for a common hearing, because there is a common point of law which is to be decided by the Honorable Court. So then our second round of exercise started. Then we had to hire Shri Hari Salve, Shri Mukul Rohtagi, and they were hired, because these advocates have got no time. You have to take their time, their convenience, because firstly you have to brief their second line of command, because they may not have more than half an hour or at the most 40 minutes to listen to you what you have to say. So actually again Advocate General, those 4 advocates, we all landed in Delhi. We briefed their second line of command, for 2-3 hours. Then they said, then Harish Alveji gave us time for half an hour. He said, all of you can come at this time, because hearing was next day. Hearing was again listed with the Chief Justice of India, Shri Justice Balakrishnan. So again the issue was that no stay order, we have to get a request for a stay order on the litigation, and group petitions which are filed in different high courts should be all called by the Supreme Court. So I am very happy to announce that all this effort did result that the Supreme Court, the Chief Justice of India, the Supreme Court's bench, they ordered that there will be no individual hearing in the high courts, but all these 26 petitions filed in some 10 or 12 high courts will be heard by the Supreme Court. So at least a very big legal battle could be, dispersed battle, legal battle was confined to a concentrated and a Supreme Court of India's authority was to hear the matter. So it was a very big effort, but what I am saying is, until this synergy was not there between the government side and the Narmada Nigam side and the advocates concerned, this type of achievement was just not possible, because our office people were telling, साहब हमको नुकसान क्यों कराते हो, हमने सबने नर्मदा बॉन्ड खरीदा हुआ है, तो आप ये कुछ करके आओगे तो हमारे नर्मदा बॉन्ड के हमको कम पैसे मिलने वाले हैं. So even your office people were not convinced that it is a battle worth fighting. So this is the stake of interest or conflict of interest also does take place in number of cases. Political pressures on the CEOs, the telephones, the mobile messages, the SMS messages. You see, in the present day technology, all this is all going to happen. It is not that it will not happen. But then the preparedness of the CEO's office is of paramount importance. First step. And second is the commitment of our legal counsel. Yes, that we will fight the matter and make sure that whatever legal judgments are there, the earlier Supreme Court and High Court rulings are there, they are very good guiding factor. And commitment and time to spend with the CEO's office and his briefing. So I am very glad that we are all the joint partnership of this effort to protect the law, to uphold the values which have been prescribed and the legal duties which have been prescribed, legal issues which have been settled and prescribed in the RP Act, conduct of election rules, and so many other rules, regulations which have been issued by ECI during the last 67 years will have to be protected and fought for vigorously. So this is what I am sharing. You may say it was not required, but I think it is very much required, because I have a feeling that our CEO's office involvement or commitment to fight our legal cases with a great commitment and drive and proactive approach needs improvement. I am not saying it is lacking, but I think because we don't have any person with a legal background in the CEO's office, just like we have got Mr. Mehndi Datta ji in ECI, that type of legal background or legal acumen which should be there with our CEO office generally is not there. People or hands-on experience must have learned lot of things. And similarly, because there is a minimal interaction between our legal counsel and the CEO office, I think legal counsel side also may not feel that it is very important to take up the matter in such a progressive or proactive manner. So all my colleagues present here, I would like to thank you for coming all the way from all the states and all the CEOs, that let us promote this event or this today's session as how to strengthen and promote our joint partnership. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, sir. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I have the privilege of requesting our Honorable Chief Guest, Honorable Chief Election Commissioner, to do the honors of releasing the publications. So we would request you to release the publications first. Ladies and gentlemen, Honorable Chief Election Commissioner prefers to address first. Please put your hands together to welcome him for the address.
My colleague Mr. Jyoti, Mr. Rawat, Election Commissioners, my colleagues from the Election Commission of India, all Deputy Election Commissioners, Vijay Dev, Umesh, Dilip Sharma, and our legal pillar and stalwart, Mr. Mehndi Datta, all Chief Electoral Officers, all invited guests from all over the country, our legal counsels, friends from media, officials from the Commission, ladies and gentlemen. A very hearty welcome to the National Interactive Conference on my personal behalf and on behalf of the Election Commission of India. When we were coming to this hall, we were told it is also a lawyer's day. So, on behalf of the Commission, a very warm congratulations to the entire legal fraternity. And, I wish our lawyers and legal luminaries will continue to protect rights of people. This will also be an important month because Mr. Mehdi Ratta will be completing 52nd year in the Election Commission of India. And it is also the month in which I think, as Mr. Jyoti was saying, entire legal community pertaining to the Election Commission is meeting for the first time. And therefore it is a good beginning. And we are very appreciative of legal luminaries like Mr. Desai and all the legal councils who have come from all over the state and have accepted our invitation to attend this strategic vision for management of election litigations in New Delhi. This is a very good time to renew our contacts, councils to know each other, discuss problems of mutual interest which you keep facing at the state level because your electoral litigations are similar, and I am sure through this conference you would like to engage with all of you in an open and constructive manner. We are very happy that there is a wide-ranging framework for the conference. New developments occurring in election disputes, region-wise impacts on litigation, and the issues which are faced by the councils when they appear before high courts and supreme courts. Friends, as you know, election remains a fundamental condition for democratic legitimacy, and election disputes are also inherent, and this should not be perceived as a reflection of weakness in the system but as a proof of strength, vitality and openness of our democracy. Election laws are all pertaining to electoral rights, and therefore disputes are bound to arise. In fact, the increase in the variety and number of election related disputes should be seen as an increase in public understanding of redressal process, and therefore there should be a very effective dispute redressal mechanism which is already provided in our statutes. The Election Commission of India is in true sense an independent and autonomous constitutional body, and I must say from my own experience in the 5th year of the Commission that the Commission is totally insulated from any external influences, be of any nature, and it is a matter of great satisfaction. All successive commissions have built this organization with their hard work, and we must salute all of them. You already know that our body conducts, supervise, control and superintend free and fair elections subject only to the constitution and laws, and is absolutely neutral in exercising its powers and functions without fear, favor or prejudice. Our main aim is to strengthen electoral democracy and promote democratic processes, electoral processes in the country. I don't have to share with you, you all know that our entire architecture flows from Article 324 to 329, and these articles are our souls actually. They are the one which gives power to the Commission, they are the one which gives lot of rights to the people in terms of universal adult suffrage, in terms of inclusive elections, and in terms of power to the Parliament to make legislative provisions. And this set of articles also provides a very important protection, and that is that the election processes from notification to declaration is barred under Article 329 from judicial interference during the currency of the process, but at the same time our law provides for judicial scrutiny by way of election petitions within 45 days from the declaration of poll results. And this provision is of immense value to us because only due to this provision we are able to complete the entire election process in time-bound manner. Civil courts, of course, are totally barred from interfering in electoral matters. We have observed that the number of election disputes have decreased after introduction of electronic voting machines, because every vote cast into electronic voting machine is a valid vote, and therefore the matters pertaining to the casting of vote into the electronic voting machines, its validity and the counting thereof is generally not the matter of dispute. However, there are disputes pertaining to nomination, campaign, corrupt practices under the RP Act. And therefore, there is also a need to study the present trend of number of disputes, their nature of these disputes, various categories, and how to minimize them in a very fair manner. We have also observed that our election petitions take a long time in its disposal before various courts, and the Commission has already recommended and written to various high courts that there should be a separate judge to deal with these election petitions for timely disposal. Sometimes the election petitions outlast the term of legislature. You are already aware of this. The Commission, as Mr. Dev mentioned, has taken many steps recently. I would also like to share with you that the Election Commission has prepared a strategic plan from 2016 to 2025. And one of the first pillars of this strategic plan is strengthening of our legal system in the Commission. And therefore, in pursuance of that objective, this is the conference that is being organized, and we have taken various initiatives to strengthen the judicial division, which is the hub of legal activities in the Commission. We have hired a new director law, a legal consultant, 4 bright legal researchers, and the entire reference and court section is now working with director law. There is a separate registry which has been set up to facilitate filing and scrutiny of cases. As mentioned by Mr. Dev, we have issued a detailed procedure of inquiry under section 146B of the RP Act to guide the Commission in disposal of inquiry cases referred to by the President and the governors. We understand there are 20 councils out of 28 high courts, and the Commission would be keen to appoint councils in the remaining high courts in time-bound manner. We would also like, as Mr. Jyoti mentioned, we would also like our chief electoral offices to be strengthened in terms of their legal capabilities. We also need to create a system of creating a centralized database of rich petitions and electoral petitions filed in various high courts, particularly in which Election Commission of India is a party. We have received information, we are happy, we have received information from majority of our councils, and the remaining informations are trickling in. We have also asked the Chief Electoral Officer, all officers to update information on electoral petitions filed in various high courts in coordination with the registrars of high courts. Mr. Vijay Dev mentioned that a web system has been developed, and this will help in setting up a real-time updating of the cases which are filed in which Commission is a party, day-to-day hearings and the outcome, and this will facilitate in efficient management of court cases. There is another area on which the Commission is going to focus, and this relates to electoral offences. As you would know, a large number of FIRs are registered by the election machinery during election process, and at present we do not have a consolidated database of these criminal cases which are filed against candidates and others. We also don't receive any feedback from states on the status of investigation and prosecution of these penal cases. Generally, we review these cases only when we are visiting states at the time of subsequent elections, that is after 5 years. In the meantime, we also hear that states have withdrawn cases under political pressures, although there are instructions of the Commission that they cannot withdraw it without the prior concurrence of the Election Commission, because the election machinery has filed these cases. And this is against the instructions of the Commission. Of course, we don't want to investigate in the investigation and prosecution process, but at the same time, we feel that it is very essential to maintain the purity of election process, where erring candidates must learn to honor electoral laws. We expect all political parties and candidates to observe the rules of electoral morality and do not commit electoral offences or indulge in corrupt practices. In this regard, with regard to criminal cases, we have received data from large number of COs, and others are sending their information. Once this database is created, we would ask all Chief Electoral Officers to regularly update the Commission on disposal of cases in coordination with the State Police and Prosecution Wing. There is also an increased emphasis on the documentation of the Commission's manuals and instructions and compilation. I am very happy that the 5th compilation of 25 landmark judgments of High Courts and Supreme Court are being released by the Commission today, and this is being done after a gap of 12 years. And I am sure this will serve to guide all concerned people. I am told that 67 decided cases from 2005 to 2016 at the level of High Courts and Supreme Courts have already been uploaded on the system. Our Judicial Division is already using softwares which are commonly used in other legal fora like Manupatra and SSC, and I am sure these publications and these system will help our councils also in updating their activities. Friends, I would also like to say that electoral reforms is another important area which need to be addressed now in a very systematic manner. We are happy to release today on behalf of the Commission a compilation of 46 or 47 proposals of electoral reforms which have been sent by the Election Commission of India from time to time for law making. They have been examined by the Law Commission, and as of now our proposals are being examined by the task force in the Law Ministry, and we are eagerly awaiting the outcome of this examination. And as you would know, out of these recommendations, some pertaining to decriminalization of politics, prevention of abuse of money, transparency in funding of political parties, making bribery a cognizable offence, criminalizing paid news, empowering ECI to countermand elections in cases of bribery and abuse of money in elections on the lines of countermanding of elections when there is a booth capture are some of the important recommendations. As and when we go through the elections, several new issues and dimensions arise for which there may not be any legal provisions and for which the existing law may be inadequate to deal with those challenges. We have the residuary powers under Article 324, but at the same time we are very cognizant that we should not resort to Article 324 very frequently. There should be a proper framework of law, and that is why soon after every elections, when we come across issues and challenges, we write to the Law Ministry to take up and undertake appropriate amendment. And I would just give you one example of Tamil Nadu. We cancelled 2 elections on account of abuse of money. Actually, huge abuse of money. We did not have power, but the situation was such that we had to act. Therefore, we invoked Article 324 and cancelled the election. And soon thereafter, we proposed an amendment to the RP Act to have a mirror provision in the law, which we have with regard to booth capture. We have been pursuing it with the Law Ministry, and we have recently taken up with the Law Ministry to revisit this. And why I am saying this is essential, because when we had to hold the elections last month, we found the same set of candidates were fielded. We received lot of representation. There was case also in the High Court as to how the same set of candidates have been allowed to be fielded. But we have our own limitation, and law did not permit us to prevent them from participation. So this is one classical example I wanted to mention, how we come across an issue, a challenge, how we propose for appropriate legal amendment, and how it leads to litigation, and how a situation can be avoided if suitable amendments are made. And booth capturing is a very appropriate example which we must quote. You know, during 80s, many of those who have been associated with elections would know that booth capturing was widely rampant. But after 1989, it was made as a specific corrupt practice. And this was also made cognizable, and the punishment for booth capturing was made exemplary. And that is why the booth capturing phenomenon in the country has become by and large finished, I would say, and can be kept in the museum. We want similar attack on the abuse of money. So I wanted to highlight this point before our legal fraternity. And I would also like to mention that in the commission we feel the time has come for a comprehensive review of Representation of People Act, and our legal researchers and legal division is working on this aspect. As and when we are ready, clause by clause review of the RP Act, we will prepare a draft bill and present it for appropriate examination. In this regard, we would request suggestions from our legal fraternity who have hands-on experience. We would also invite some legal institutions of the country for their valuable inputs. Our RP Act has been amended, Mahendra Sahab, some 17 or 18 times?
No, sir, 60 times.
60 times. So, but that has been from year to year. There is a need for a comprehensive review. Another area which our legal counsel face in High Courts and Supreme Court is with regard to PILs. Nowadays, our civil society organizations, NGOs, public spirited persons have become very active in filing public interest litigations. Our commission is also made a party in these litigations, and some of the public interest litigations have resulted in laying down a very good framework which ECI had been waiting for quite some time, and therefore as soon as the judgments are passed, we are very prompt in implementing it, and this has helped in conducting free and fair elections. And you already know some of the examples like disclosure of information pertaining to candidates, introduction of VVPAT, NOTA, declaring certain provisions of Section 8 as ultra vires to the Constitution. However, some important PILs are still pending, and those which pertaining to totalizers, determination of the procedure of declaration of vacancy once a sitting legislator is convicted for a punishment of 2 years or more. And generally we have been supporting such public interest litigation because this helps in conducting free and fair election. We also want to reduce litigation by drafting our instructions very meticulously and which are in conformity with law, which are fair, just and reasonable. And another last point that I wanted to mention was that we also undertake rigorous training of our officials so that they implement ECI instructions in a very judicious, fair and neutral manner, and there is a chance of zero error, because only then people will have faith, will have trust in our election machinery, and then probably disputes can be reduced. And it is also incumbent upon candidates and political parties to comply with our laws and instructions, because that also avoid the scope of giving rise to misgivings and disputes. We also want our COs and our legal counsels and everybody to be on the same page. And I hope that this will assist us in managing the litigation in the most efficient and informed manner, and would serve to further enhance the purity of electoral process and strengthen the democracy. And at the end, I would like to compliment our judicial division, our RCC division, legal consultant, our young bright legal researchers, director law and protocol section, all the division of the commission who have made this event a reality, and I appreciate their hard work. And throughout the day we look forward to very valuable suggestions from our colleagues who have come from all over the country, and I am sure this will help ECI in redressing the issues that are being faced by our councils. And once again, thank you very much for your patient hearing, and look forward to very constructive suggestions. And welcome to Mr. Desai here. And everybody, thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, sir, for the inaugural address. May I now request you, sir, to kindly do the honors of releasing the publications. May I request our Honorable Chief Guest to do the honors of releasing the publications, sir. The first is Landmark Judgments, Volume 5. It contains 25 critical judgments pertaining to electoral laws. please put your hands together on the release of all the three publications, the landmark judgments.
Yes, sir.
There is landmark judgments, volume 5. Electoral reforms and handbook of procedures.
Thank you.